back. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Rob's house. Today, we're ricing out the Mustang. Yes, we're putting LED underglow onto the Mustang. All right, so preparing. This is going to be a pretty easy install. Here we have our LED underglow lights. They're good. They are blue only. These are 50/50 LEDs. Some wiring, a switch. They came in a whole box. I have way too many switches. And I bought some quick disconnect wiring just in case, but I'm not sure if we're actually gonna use that. We're gonna get under the car, see what it looks like, see where we're gonna mount all of the LED strips. And once we determine that, then we can figure out if we should just go ahead and solder everything on. So let's get started. Fight in the dark till we see the sunlight. My love, it's you and I. Close, close, and come back this far. Guys, we got the car up on jack stands. Here's what I plan on doing. In the car, to the right of the steering wheel, there's a plastic trim piece. I plan on drilling into this because it's in a pretty good location for where I want the switch to be for the underglow. And this plastic piece is $5 in case I screw it up and need to replace it. Not a big deal. Now, where it gets a little bit tricky is my battery and my firewall access on the passenger side of this car. I know this because I already installed subwoofers in this car. So I already have a wire running through the firewall from the battery. We're not actually gonna run these right to the battery. I'm gonna tap into an auxiliary fuse for this installation. But what that means is we have to get wires from the switch, which is going to be mounted here, over there. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to run the wires from behind this plastic piece through this trim piece all the way to the other side, down the side of the door sill, and get to where we need to go. Guys, this is the plastic trim piece I was talking about. This is actually going to be a little bit more complicated than I thought it was, just because there is a connector here that I have to avoid, and there was actually, where this clip mounts, there was some sort of retaining hook that was a little bit of a pain to get out, but not a problem. We're going to drill probably in the lower portion of this. Now, just to show you guys what it looks like in here, got that trim piece out. We come to the other side of the car. We got plenty of access up and around here to route some wires, come along this lip here. That'll bring us right to the edge where we normally have trim pieces. You can see I already ran some wires in here already, so we're just gonna kind of mimic that. And I didn't explicitly mention this before. We're not going to the battery, but we are gonna tap into an auxiliary fuse, and this is the same, this is where the auxiliary fuse box is for interior lighting and things of that sort. That is why we need to get the wires to this side of the car. We also are gonna have to go through the firewall access, which is just back here where my foot is, underneath the carpeting. Even though we're not going to the battery, we need to actually route wires out of here so that we can actually wire up our LEDs. Right now, I'm going to find out which one of these fuses is an auxiliary fuse, if any, or if not, which one I can tap into. I'll be back. All right, so check it out. We're actually gonna tap in, we have some 3-way fuses in this car, but we're gonna tap into one of these. This is a 5 amp. This is corresponding to fuses 10 and 11, which are 5 amp spares. The load actually comes from the center, and then it goes out to the lines on either side. So what we're gonna do is I think we're gonna tap into number 11 for the LED underglow. That'll give us 5 amp fuse, which is plenty. I didn't want to use too big of a fuse because they are just LEDs. I didn't want to tap into, say, like a 30 amp or something that's critical for my car's system. So the best part about this is, since these are not used, these are spare fuses that are receiving power even when the car is off. I will be able to turn my underglow on whenever I want. So if I am at a car show or something, I can have my underglow running even when I'm not in the car. And if this fuse were to blow, it's not going to impact the functionality of any of the systems in my car whatsoever. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to tap into fuse 11. All right, now that we've determined what fuse we're going to tap into, where we're going to drill our hole to mount our screw, I have pre-measured these wires that will fit through the trim pieces of the car from the switch location to the interior fuse box. It's time to drill this hole, mount this screw, and start wiring. guys, we finished the first stage of wiring. We have our button installed. I didn't want to risk, while drilling, hitting this connector at all, so the switch is kind of off to the side, but that's okay. It'll probably minimize the chance that I hit it with my knee while I'm driving, so that's good. This switch works the opposite way that I expected. I thought that flicking it toward the light would activate it, but it actually doesn't work that way, which is why the light is on the bottom. So when I flick it up, it will be on, and when I flick it down, it will be off. Like I said, I have our leads here. We've got a ground wire that's going to go onto one of the bolts inside of the car, and then we have a quick connector, which will connect to this other quick connector, which will then go out to all the LEDs that we're gonna run under the car. The more I think about it, the more I don't like the idea of getting underneath my car on a creeper with a soldering iron. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pre-measure all of the strips, cut them accordingly, and then I will attach quick disconnects, and I'll have to sort of guesstimate my connection wire length for that. I am going to wire them in series. This is one of the main reasons that I didn't want to actually use a kit to do this. One, you're at fixed lengths with your light bars there. Here I can customize and cut these wires according to whatever length I need. And then beyond that, I won't have a rat's nest of wires. When you buy a kit from a store, let's say it has 4 light bars, right? One for the front, one for the back, and one for each side of the car. They each have their associated wire that plugs into a central wiring harness. So that results in you running a ton of wires underneath the car and then having somewhat of a rat's nest wherever that actually connects. I didn't like the idea of doing that, so I'm going to do this way, wired in series. If I have any problems with either one of my strips, I will have quick disconnects, so I can simply remove the strip, wire some new quick connectors onto it, and then I'll be good to go. So that's the plan. Let's get this back in the car, run these wires, tap into our fuse, and then we can start laying our LED strips. All right, guys, check it out. So I have measured out the strips. I actually barely had enough with one spool, so I'm not gonna have to use the second spool. However, we do have it just in case this doesn't look good, bright enough, or something like that. We can always double up on some of these strips. So I have these are gonna be my sides, and then the front and rear are back here. What I'm gonna do right now is I'm just going to, on one end of all of these strips, get a quick connector soldered on there so that we can test all of them. We also have to put some double-sided mounting tape on the underside of these. They have some 3M adhesive, but it's not very good. I'm not gonna trust that to stay mounted. So the steps here are we're gonna put quick connectors on all the strips. We're gonna put the double-sided mounting tape here. Then I'm gonna have to actually measure how much wire I'm gonna need in between each set of strips. Again, I'm gonna probably have to eyeball some of that, but I'm gonna have to get back under the car and do that. Then I just have to get under the car and actually lay down the strips, plug all the quick connectors in, zip tie some stuff up, and then we'll be good to go. So let's get back to it. check it out. We got all of the strips wired up. You saw in that time lapse, I kept walking away after I did one. That's because I was going into the car, plugging them in real quick and testing them. So they all do work fine. All my connections were good. I've heat shrinked all of it. I think I might electrical tape the thinner ends just to make sure that everything is properly insulated. Then I'm going to, like I said, measure the wires on the car so I can figure out how long the actual connecting wires need to be. And I'm probably gonna skip all that. We'll come back when I have those wires ready to go with connectors soldered onto them. Then we'll be good to go. All right, guys, the time is finally here to actually start laying these LED strips. I had a lot of delays because I wanted to make sure that I did all the wiring right, that I insulated everything properly. As you can see here behind me, I took my front wheels off. I did that to provide easier access on this side for where I'm gonna run the wires. And on the other side, we'll hop over there and I'll show you what I had to deal with there. All right, so here we are on the passenger side of my car. And as you can see, I have my wires and my LED strips all prepped. But the really annoying thing about this car, and probably the most annoying part of this install and when I did my subwoofer installation, same thing, is that the firewall access, you can't see it at all on my camera, the firewall access is back in there, which comes out behind this carpet. That doesn't seem like that big of a deal, except it's got a rubber boot that you have to sort of cut a little piece out of and then run the wire through. So it's a very annoying procedure, but I got the wire coming out right here. Inside the car, we have the connector tucked in nice and neat there. Our trim piece will go over, cover all that up. I left it exposed, obviously, for now because I'm gonna have to play with the slack of this, make sure I get it just right. Back over on our workbench, we got some supplies here. So we have, most importantly, zip ties. So like I said, I was heat shrinking everything before. I used electrical tape on top of the heat shrink to make sure that all of these connections are nice and insulated and weatherproof, nice and tight, just so that in case anything gets wet, nothing shorts out. And that's pretty much it. I think we can start laying these strips down. Check it out, guys. It is done. All the wires ran, everything is zip tied, nice and neat. We got front, we got sides, we got rear. I had my jack here just in case anything collapsed on me. Yep. I'm sure this looks a little bit purple in the video, but I assure you it is blue. Now I'm just going to put the wheels back on my car, clean up my garage because I have trash everywhere, and we'll do a walk around with the car on the ground. All right, everyone, we are done. We are back on the ground, wheels back on. Everything is looking good. I kind of wish the glow came out a little bit more on the side, but I couldn't have done that without putting the strips on the actual aero pieces themselves right here. And I didn't want any of the strips to actually be showing, so that's okay. With that said, we got the rear. Kind of hard to see because my garage door is closed. Other side. And of course the front. And real quick, let me flick the lights off so we can get the full effect here. So you can see it looks pretty good. It looks a lot better when it's dark. You can really see the glow on the sides, in the back. This is gonna look really, really sick. Really clean, no wires showing, no strips showing. Overall, I'm really happy with how it came out. For hanging out with me. If you like what you saw, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we'll be back with more car related content soon. See ya.